Like Angela and Mhlawumbe, you can start by telling us a little bit about your business and also how you started it. Kwenzeka ntoni into ukuba ube uyaqalisa wena elishishini lakho?
So the business started in 2019. Well, the idea of the business actually dates back to 2016.
All right.
When I was working as a business consultant for a company called Private Label Promotions.
Okay.
The company had a subsidiary called LEAP, which stands for Lean Enterprise Acceleration Programs. So I was working on a program specifically designed for the tourism industry.
Okay.
These would be your B&Bs, your guest houses that are graded. Now, when I say graded, I'm referring to the stars that you would normally see.
Oh, okay. 3-star,
Yes,
4-star, 5-star.
exactly. So that would come with an annual subscription that would go to the Tourism Grading Council. And as a value add, the organization decided to get ULEAP on board to provide value-added services to these establishments. So that's where the idea for the business started, after I had also completed the accreditation to work as a business consultant.
Okay.
But the actual business itself was formed in 2019. Then 2020 was COVID, so we had to pause a little bit for that year. And then the following year, we were back full steam. So I work as a business consultant for the business. I'm the founder of the business. And I've also got a resident strategic advisor, Mr. Onge Sidumo. He is also part of the business, and then I also have an investor, Mr. Kanyisani Ngula, who decided that he was going to invest in the business since he saw potential in it. From 2019 up until now, the business has been
continuing.
Yes, has been operating.
Interesting. I think obviously your business does benefit from your background, which is your experience in the world of businesses. I don't think it really matters much. Obviously, the dynamics of the specific industry, but I think the basics of business, is fun.
Exactly, definitely. And I think in my case, now I was privileged to have managers that also had a background in business. And
Right.
both my managers were MBA graduates. One was from Czech Republic in Europe, and then the other, Takani Chivas, was from Limpopo. So I think that also gave me that type of experience where you are also being tutored in a way by people who are much more experienced than I was at the time, and people who just have a passion for business itself. The industry doesn't really matter per se, unless there's something called cyclical movements in business, where certain businesses will be favored in certain times.
Okay.
They'll be favored by the market. They'll be favored by investors. Now, let me give you an example. A company such as Netflix really boomed. Exactly.
Boomed.
Both on Netflix no Zoom at the start of the pandemic.
COVID.
And that's because people were at home,
Yeah.
and you needed to entertain yourself, and that was an opportunity for the market, as I'm saying, and investors to look at those type of business, your streaming services, and to actually look at the potential of those type of businesses, since there was demand for that particular business. So I would say there are common factors that apply to businesses in general. It doesn't matter what type of industry the business is in, but I would also say that that timing is very important, because, as I'm saying, Netflix and Zoom, it was a perfect time for them to get into the market when the pandemic started. And if you look at the performance, your share price of both companies, they made a killing. They definitely made strides in terms of us as consumers getting to know these businesses.
Quite interesting. The other question that I wanted to check is, before Specia Kubeka forward, is just to give you an opportunity to touch a little bit on the services that you offer as a requisite. What type of services do you offer when to clients, so that jonge abonba ingaba angakwazi now, to knock on your door.
Yes.
I can give you that opportunity as we continue with this conversation.
So the main services that we offer at Requisite would be business planning.
Okay.
It would be sourcing, in the sense if you're looking for a particular service or maybe a particular product, we can find it for you.
Sure.
We also do trends analysis. Which is also very important as part of the business planning process. Then there is marketing planning as well. So I would say those are the main services that we offer at Requisite. Yes.
And talking about it being having a conversation around businesses and business planning being an integral part of a business, would you say it's important to intentionally plan for your business? Because some entrepreneurs just go into business, they just have an idea and I think that's also a character of an entrepreneur, because you just go for it. But could you touch a little bit on the importance of actually thoroughly planning your business, and how much it would affect you negatively if maybe you bypass that process?
Planning for your business is very important, and it's something that all business owners and entrepreneurs, for that matter, should seriously consider. Now, before I continue, let me differentiate. So there's a difference between a business owner and an entrepreneur.
Okay.
An entrepreneur in my books would be someone like an Elon Musk.
Okay.
Who would see an opportunity and bring something to the market that was not there, and make it work and make it profitable, like he's doing. Then a business owner would be someone like a Patrice Motsepe, where that there's a model that works, and you've got the resources, you can pull capital to explore that model, maybe in different markets. So one, being the business owner, works with an already established model, and the entrepreneur is more of an artist and an innovator. Exactly. They then create a new model and a new product, a new service that was not there initially. So that's a starting point. We need to differentiate between the two. So when it comes to planning, remember, you are the salesperson for your business.
Okay.
You are the number one salesperson you are the number one cheerleader for your business.
Sure.
So if you are not there selling your business, you then need something to speak on behalf of your business. That's where a business plan would come in. That's where a proposal would come in. Because remember, whilst you are sleeping, let's say you've been working 12-hour days, and it's very common in entrepreneurship, you still need something that will sell your business for you whilst you are taking a break.
Okay.
And that's what investors would need. That's what your banking professionals, the guys that approve loans at the bank, that's what they would need. That's what your development officers at your development agencies would need. So if you are not selling your business yourself, then you definitely need a document, something formal, that will do that for you. So hence I started by saying that business planning is very important, and it's of key importance in terms of looking at the potential of the business as well. Because remember, some businesses, you don't want to just invest money in the business without looking at the potential of the business.
Sure.
You first want to see if this is the last amount of money that I have.
Is it
this
worth
something?
it?
Yeah, is this something worth it?
Will I get return on
will I get a
investment?
return on investment? It doesn't matter how long it takes, but will I eventually get a return on investment?
Sure.
And that starts with planning, because planning also gives you direction, so that you don't get distracted. Because what entrepreneurs tend to do, some of them, they easily get distracted. And they will run after the next shiny thing, the next best thing, whereas you haven't really given that particular model enough time to
chance.
grow, and you haven't learned from the failures of that particular model. So planning also gives structure to your thinking and to your business as well. Yeah.
And linked in with the notion of planning for your business, there's also a language that one can think of, which is strategy, like
Yes.
business strategy. And you find that sometimes I'm gonna use it. I've just been educated in terms of the difference between entrepreneur an entrepreneur and a business owner in
business
terms of
owner.
your definition.
Yes.
So allow me to use those two interchangeably for now.
No problem.
Okay, let me say in the context of entrepreneurship, you'll find that people who want to get into doing business will sometimes rely a lot on rather trial and error. Going the route of trial and error, and not necessarily coming up with a business strategy. How difficult is it to come up with a business strategy? And also, do you think that in my own space or in my own office, thinking, I'm just going to come up with a strategy for this business now?
Yes.
Is it that easy? I need external assistance? And also, how integral is it to me being able to start a sustainable business and ensure I grow?
Building a business is almost like a group project. So you always need help.
Okay.
When you are starting out in business, whether it's a model that is new to the market, that entrepreneurs really like and are drawn to, or it's a proven model.
Okay.
You always need help.
Sure.
Right? So when it comes to developing strategy, remember, strategy helps in terms of identifying blind spots that you may not see as the entrepreneur or as the business owner.
Okay.
Remember, as the business owner, you spend a lot of time working in the business, and you have to wear different hats at different times within the business. So it's very easy to overlook certain aspects that are key in making sure that your model is firstly sustainable, and it's something that you can invest in when it comes to the long term. Hence, at requisite, we have an in-house strategic advisor. I made sure that before the business started, that was the first point of call for me to say that, listen, I'm going to be working as a consultant in the business. Yes, I am the founder, but I'm going to be working as a consultant in the business. Now, that simply means that there are certain things that I won't be able to see, and I won't be able to see them in time.
Okay.
So that ndikwazi uzilungisa. Hence, ke ngoku, you would need a strategic advisor, someone, another pair of eyes,
Sure.
and another set of hands that can see the blind spots that you might not be seeing yourself. Now, when it comes to trial and error, I would also say that it just depends on how deep your pockets are as the business owner, or as the entrepreneur, or as the investor. Remember, some businesses are very easy to start in terms of cost.
Okay.
Because they don't cost a lot. For example, if you have an online business,
Okay.
you would basically need a website, and you would need hosting, so that you wouldn't necessarily need office space. You wouldn't need warehousing. You wouldn't need transportation. Whereas if you are in the construction and you want to go into construction, then it's a different ball game.
Sure.
You're definitely gonna need the bakkies. You're gonna need the equipment. You're gonna need
The machinery.
insurance. You're definitely going to need insurance to insure. So it just depends. So Obviously, with entrepreneurs, part of your character, your entrepreneurs, them being creatives, is them not fearing the trial and error aspect.
Sure.
But obviously now, if you are limited in terms of resources, then obviously there's a lot to fear compared to someone who has unlimited resources and who has a blank check and they can, afford to spend more time
making mistakes
trial
and learning.
error. Exactly. And we also need to understand as business owners and as entrepreneurs that failing is part of the learning process.
Sure, 100%.
I was at a lunch recently, and one of the speakers alluded to the word fail, and she said that we should look at fail as a first attempt in learning. And for me, I thought that was so profound, because when people see fail, it's
a
just
scary.
Exactly.
It's a very
you
scary
get discouraged.
thing.
It's easy to give up. Whereas if you look at it in the way this lady was referring to it as a first attempt in learning, then all of a sudden there's a mind shift. Exactly. So I would say it just depends on how deep your pockets are. And it also depends on how passionate you are with the business. Some people are able to stick with the model up until it works. Doesn't matter how long it takes. Some people can't afford to do that.
Sure.
So they'd rather play it safe,
Yes.
which is always a good thing. And it's something that I would definitely advise as well.
Sure. And, coming closer to Kengoku, the concept of consulting,
Yes.
as, we're looking at the advantage of, one using business consulting. Would you say that, okay, let's start by asking this question. What is the stress that one relieves themselves of, when they decide to outsource a service to a business consultant, or to use a consultant in their business to ensure that, they're able to achieve the goals that they have set? What kind of stress does that process bring for the business owner?
As I said, as a business owner, chances are you are going to have to wear different hats at different times within the business. So you are also working with limited time. There's only 24 hours in a day. And chances are you won't get to doing everything within the business. If you do, then that means you won't do everything effectively and the way it's supposed to be done, right? So that's where the outsourcing element would come in. Because even if you are, for example, needing an accountant because your business is now making money and you need to structure your finances, you also need to put money aside and save and invest. You need an accountant, and an accountant is a form of a consultant.
Yes.
Because they will then come on board and tell you, listen, this is the best way to manage your books for this type of business. So outsourcing is very important. I cannot stress the importance, overstress the importance of outsourcing, especially at the beginning stages, because it will actually save you a lot of time, and it will also save you money. Obviously, there will come a time when the business is now growing and you are making profits on a sustainable basis. Then that is the time you can start growing the business in terms of now employing
In-house.
people. Yes, employing people and doing some of the things that you are outsourcing, and you're doing them in-house.
Internally.
Yeah, internally. So, but initially, outsourcing is the best way to go about reducing costs and also freeing up time for yourself as an entrepreneur, and making sure that those key activities that need to be done effectively, because there are things that
Sacrifice, but you cannot sacrifice.
Yes, exactly. So when it comes to that part of the business, or that time within the lifespan of the business, then outsourcing is a good thing, because like I'm saying, it will save you time, it will save you money.
And also, one of the other reasons why you find that entrepreneurs don't take up, consulting or go out to get like a professional consultant in a specific area is that there's a notion that it's very expensive. Using consulting services is very expensive. Would you say that is true? Or I know that, expensive and affordable is, subjective, but entertain me and say, and have a response to that, because really what causes other people not to be even open to the idea of outsourcing some of their, the functions of the business and also going out there to get a professional service from a consultant is that it is expensive, and they just decide, I'm blocking this one out.
I like how you said it. You said subjective. So for requisite for my business, I specifically focus on small businesses.
Okay.
So that means my pricing has to cater for those businesses which are one-man teams or one-woman shows.
Okay.
So that's as far as requisite goes. Now, obviously, you get to a point where you will encounter management consultants, for example, and that do work for government departments or for big companies.
Sure.
Then now the story changes, because now remember, if I can save you money and make you money at the same time, then it's something that I would definitely invest in.
Okay.
If I can afford it, obviously. Now, I'm talking now from the point of view of a big company,
okay,
right? From a small company point of view, I would rather invest money and spend the money whilst the business is growing in the early stages, than for me to lose money at a later stage because I overlooked certain things at the beginning stages. Because remember, at the beginning stages of your business, that's where you are building the foundation of the business.
Sure.
It's like building a house, right? You when you're building a house, you don't start with the walls and the roof. You start with the foundation, because that means then your business is working from a solid base. So from my point of view, and with regards to my own business, even as a business consultant, I also spend time getting advice from other entrepreneurs and other businesses.
Sure.
That's how important consulting is. And that's how, because remember, consulting is you getting information that has been processed in order for you to understand it better so that you can make the decisions to make sure that your business is profitable. And when I say profitable, I'm not saying profitable this year and then next year you're making a loss. I'm talking about growing your profits gradually. Right? So as a business consultant myself, I make sure I spend time getting advice and getting information, whether it's from other entrepreneurs in different industries, from accountants, from people who have a background in legal services, because that will not only help my business, it will also help the next entrepreneur and my client base as well. So you know, the word you chose is subjective. It is definitely subjective, because someone else might think that, no, look, this is a tried and tested model.
Okay.
I've seen it work with a friend
Company
of mine
X.
or company X. I don't need a consultant. I'll just consult company X.
Okay.
Which is also
Or
consulting in a way. Without being formally, consulting.
Defined.
Then someone else might think, you know what, let me rather invest the money now,
Okay.
take the hit now, make the necessary sacrifices, knowing that eventually the money will come back. And that will happen in a shorter time frame
Okay.
than if you are just trialing and error and you are only relying on the success of company X. Because remember, company X was successful for a certain period of time in history. Now you are coming into that industry hoping for the same success that company X experienced 2 or 3 years ago.
And the environment is so
has changed.
dynamic.
Things have moved on, technology has developed, so you banking on the success of company X from 3 years ago is a big risk.
It might
Let's
not
just be
necessarily
honest.
work.
It might not necessarily work because the times have changed and the world that company X experienced success in 3 years ago is not
Might
the
not be
same
the
world
same.
that you are currently in and that you are investing in terms of the industry, hoping for that same success. So,
Yeah, interesting. And now, as we draw towards a close, I want to ask you, which areas or at what point do you think a company should look into getting, someone to assist them or to advise them through consulting? At what stage? Is it when someone is starting out? Is it when someone is at midpoint? Is it when someone has, has now grown fully, or because I'm thinking now of someone listening in today to what we're saying, and they might be thinking, but how do I know I'm ready now to go out and get a consultant and get someone who's going to advise me and get someone who's going to show me the blind spots I might not be seeing in my business? How would you answer that?
that is a good question, and I'm glad you have touched on it. So, traditionally, there's different phases within a business cycle, and this applies to businesses across the board. It doesn't matter the industry.
Sure.
So you would have the first stage, which would be introduction. This is where you're introducing your business to the market. You're introducing your business to the potential competitors of that business. The next phase would be business growth.
Okay.
Now, this is where businesses make the most of their money. And this is where businesses experience the highest potential in terms of business growth.
Okay.
And things happen very quickly with business growth stage because you are in demand. You are talk of the town. We hot cake, basically. Then you have a stage, the third stage would be business maturity. This is where now you have basically almost maximized the profit potential of the business, and you are now looking at diversifying. You are more focusing on the investments that the business has made.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. When people see McDonald's, they see Big Mac, they see fries, they see the Coke, they see the specials or whatever that people would normally order at a McDonald's. Not a lot of people know that McDonald's is also a property company.
Yeah.
So McDonald's at some point realized that, listen, us selling burgers and chips and Cokes is only going to get us so far.
Sure.
We then need to diversify and get into property and start owning the properties that we operate from. Just to give you a real life example. So that's the maturity phase. Then the last phase would be your decline or a harvest. That is where now you need to have a conversation with yourself as the owner of the business, or maybe if you're at a point where now you have a board, you sit down with the board members and decide, are we continuing with the business or is it time to divest and take our profits and run and look at other options? So ideally, you want consulting services at introduction phase. If you miss introduction phase for whatever reason, then you definitely want your consulting services at the growth phase, because that's where you are going to experience a lot of turbulence within your business. Then, like I said, that's where your business makes the most profits. The most of its profits. And during that stage, it's also very easy to make mistakes as well. So it just depends on you as a business owner, and obviously the type of business as well that you are looking at getting into, because some businesses don't necessarily need consulting services to start with. Because remember, at introduction phase, it's also an opportunity for you to test the market research that you have done before you even decided that you are going to start the business. There had to be some form of marketing research that you would have done, even if it's just talking to family and friends, running the idea past them. There's always someone that you are close to. Maybe it's another business owner. To say, listen, I've been thinking of this idea. What do you think? Even before you introduce that business into the market. So I would definitely say market introduction and growth phase is where ideally, traditionally, you would need consulting services.
Interesting. It has been quite an interesting conversation. A word or two that maybe you want to leave with entrepreneurs on how they can be able to operate their businesses for success. And as you wrap that up, you can also give us your contact information in case there's someone who feels like I'm at the introduction phase or the growth phase. I want to actually make use of your consulting services.
So to all entrepreneurs that are listening today, persistence is key. You need to persist and persist and persist some more. And you need to also realize that there is going to be resistance at first. Because people maybe close to you won't believe in the dream that you have, they won't believe in the business, or maybe the market is not ready for that type of business or the concept that you are introducing to the market. So if you quit, then it will just be another failure. It won't be a first attempt in learning. But if you persist and you make the necessary sacrifices, then eventually the tide will turn and you will see the potential of the business. So if there's one thing that the listeners should be taking away from the conversation today is the word persistence. And if you want to get a hold of me, my direct contact number for calls and WhatsApp is 068 543 8272. So that's 068 543 8272, both for calls and WhatsApp. And then on email, it's Chumani at Requisite SBA, which stands for Small Business Advisory. .co.za. Chumani at Requisite SBA.co.za.
All right.
I'll definitely try and attend to all queries within a space of 24 hours.
All right.
Thank you very much, Siswam.
Well, Pulapulu Afghani Community Radio, that was Chumani Nobongoza talking to us about, the advantage of business consulting and so many different things. In between that, I wanted to go to a song. I'm going to take a song and when we come back from the song, I'm going to be touching on some of the things that he has mentioned. Is persistence. He mentions persistence is actually the key. You must also remember as an entrepreneur, as you introduce your idea, it might not necessarily be landing on a ground that is willing to receive it, but it might actually land on a ground that might resist it at first. But he says that if you continue, if you keep on keeping on and you persist, you might find that the tide might just turn and to your advantage. Things are turning towards your direction. Don't quit. Whatever you do, make sure that you do not quit. You will find that some of the mistakes that you make along the way, some of the resistance that you find along the way, it might just be turned into a failure, a fail, rather than it being a first attempt at learning. It's a new one, and I'm actually going to keep it every single time I hear someone talking about failure. I'm going to find out in what way, because today I have learned in actually, if we change our mind and our perception in terms of how we look at failing and not seeing it as the end of the world, but looking at it as a first attempt in learning, which gives you a mind and energy, a certain level of an energy that propels you forward to keep pushing your stuff. From Anati, a city Vuka, and when we come back, we will be starting our second hour of the show.